What it is, that's what a residual is, a piece of the action as the transactions close. Giving the brokerages leverage, faster growth, faster development, integrated, everybody helps each other, everybody passes down wisdom to each other. Is that a good idea? Of course it is. Instead of gimme, gimme, gimme. And it's 5%. Well, what if I'm dead and gone? How long is the 5% paid? For as long as the people you brought in continue to produce business. Well, we've had people die. We've had people pass away. We had one person in Brampton, Ontario, and the man died. He brought in 3 people, and they were producing business. And his widow, just 2 or 3 years passed by, she suddenly realized that if she introduced her friends and relatives that wanted to buy a house to the people he had sponsored in, she'll actually increase her pension. Now she's feeding them. Isn't that interesting? All kinds of things that can transpire as a result of this new idea. So we got 10, 7, and 5. 10% full-time, 7% retirement, which is enhanceable, and 5% beneficiary benefit. And all I ever said to you was, could you do anything with that? Because you already know what you do. You get autographs. All I've said is, if you bring in agents, get their autograph. One autograph, you're perpetually paid for the rest of their career. When you get a customer to sign, you've got to deal with them one deal at a time. You're trying to build your career one brick at a time. This way, you get leverage. Other people's energies, and literally, other people's money. Where does that 10% come from? Where does the 7% come from? Where does the 5% come from? The broker's portion of the commission, not the agents. Agents are not interfered or tampered with in any way, shape, or form, so when I throw your commission structure at you, which I'm about to do, it's not interfered at all by this entire system. It comes out of the brokerage portion because guess what? Sponsoring is assisting the broker in the building of the brokerage, so the sharing of that comes out of the broker's portion, not the agent's portion. Oh, so I'm not affected by that at all as an agent. That's right. So the broker, the business model is this. To any banker, the brokerage is a little bit less this way, more this way. So exit offices are designed to be bigger than smaller, and that's why, and don't tell me I can't get there. We're going to 750 agents in Eastern Canada. There's nothing can stop us, and we'll be there in just a couple of years. We will double anything else anybody's got down here. Can't duplicate it because they'd have to do it internationally. There's no copycat syndrome in the industry, and it's pretty late in the day to be an also-ran after 10 years, whereby I've paid out $100 million of single-level residuals already. So there's not going to be any duplicates of this. And multi-level marketing, they're based on profit. You can help build the operation and get a portion of that profit, providing your broker profits. If your broker does not profit, you're paid nothing. Ours is deal-driven. If the deal closes, you get paid. The American government made that a prerequisite of us doing this. It was the only way I could think up to do it, so we were in harmony from the very first moment. Deal-driven, not profit-driven. Let's face facts. If the market shifts, as it's starting to do, you might not feel it yet, but we're walking into a buyer's market all over North America. We've been up for 7 years. It's the longest, highest rising positive market in history. 7 years! Nothing goes straight to the top right-hand corner if you know anything about markets. It's a rhythmical market. In a buyer's market, profitability at the brokerage level is a little bit less. So you sit there and say, would you want this driven on profit? No. Do you want to get more agents to generate more transactions? Yes. Is this a good thing for bad markets? Yes, perfect. Design for it. Perfect. Okay. Does it make sense to own one of these things? Yes, it does. So I would say this at this very moment. Ladies, listen up. And I'm totally prejudiced and biased in this particular area. It's just my own attitude. But I'll throw it at you. Who can relate more to the ownership of a home than a woman? Nobody. Who can relate more to a pension plan than a woman? Nobody. Who can relate more to death benefits after the fact from a beneficiary standpoint than a woman? Nobody. This is perfectly tailor-made for a woman to run a brokerage. So, ladies, if there's a little manager that lives inside of you, right? And let's face facts. You raised your kids, you raised your husband. A lot of that on one hip. Multitasking, right, from the very beginning. There might be a real estate manager living inside of you, if there ever was. The other kinds, and I've run them all, maybe have sensed to be a little bit risky up to this stage. This one is empathy-oriented. Everybody helps each other build. So what this means is, you know, I sell you a franchise in Turkey Scratch, Arkansas. And it's on the wrong side of the tracks. It's the last one we had. You were kind of inhibited when you came in to buy it, but we sold it to you because everybody else was buying one. And I said, you know, Jim bought this franchise down there in Turkey Scratch. And I sent an email out to all our people. We've got about 33,500 now. And they all get the email. Here's what happens. Now look at this. They all get the email. Jim just opened this franchise in Turkey Scratch. I don't even know where Turkey Scratch is. Who do I know in Turkey Scratch? Every one of them across the entire continent's got a vested interest in him building that brokerage. Doesn't matter what part of the continent they live in, because they can get 10% off the top from the introduction process and then maybe make long-distance calls and help that person grow. Or they never have to speak to them ever again if they don't want to. There's no obligation. Is that good for the broker? Now the broker's got leverage, because up to now it's been totally on his shoulders, or her shoulders, to build a brokerage. Now everybody in the continent has got a vested interest in the growth. Are you starting to see why these things grow? Everybody's helping. Everybody. We got integrated help, arm in arm. This is an arm in arm process. It's a baton passing process. It's a pay it forward process. Did you see the movie? That's exactly what this is. Okay, what about the commission structure? How much do I get paid? I sell real estate for a living. That's what I do. How much do you pay me? Here it comes. Throw it at you real fast. 70-30 on the first $100,000 of gross, 90-10 the balance annually. Did you get it? Go slower. We pay day one, $1. 70-30 on the first $100,000 of gross, 90-10 the balance annually. What that means as an example. Say you were a better producer, and I look at good producers at 200,000 and above. And so say you were, there might be somebody sitting here that makes that kind of money. $200,000, okay, that means the first 100 was at 70%, the second 100 was at 90%, that averages out to 80%, right? There's no company in North America paying a straight 80 across that's of any consequence whatsoever. So pretty good return on your, plus residuals. Residuals are added on to that. Wow, okay. Now if you made 300, let's go a step above. There's people doing that. Another 100 at 90. Your numbers are getting better. It's moving in the right direction. So is that a good return to sell the product, do what you do? Yes, it is, absolutely. So on a day-to-day basis, you're doing that, and we got the software program that will pay you out residually. You never have to use it. There's no force play. We're not going to bug you and tug you to make you do this. But it's there, and you can use it if you bump into an agent, see the opportunity, tell them the story, and they join as a result of that. And you're residually paid. Residual means perpetual, means over and over and over again. So what did I say earlier about the DJ? It's the same here. Bring the person in, get them signed up. As their transactions close over and over and over again, you're getting paid on those individual strokes. See? That's how it works. Exactly the same. How do I burn out the inhibition factor? We studied this very closely. I used to work for the permanent real estate. I was a district sales manager at the permanent real estate years ago, 1981, when the feds found out that you can't put out a fire with gasoline. Interest rates went to 22 1/4. If you were around in those days, little old ladies were jumping out of windows when they had to renew their mortgage. I mean, if you get a 6.5% or 7.5% mortgage today, you think it's high. Believe me, 22 1/4 is high. So I managed managers back in those days. But we specialized in teaching, training, and coaching like nobody else. And I've been raised that way. It's very important. I find it to be extremely important. We specialize in that. So what I did was I formed, it was literally a division in the very beginning called Power Selling 101. Now, the Power Selling 101 part of it is something I do separately myself now because we've separated it from all the rest. But what it meant was this. To be a trainer for my company, you have to make over $500,000 a year gross before you're allowed to teach anybody anything. Why would I give you somebody that read it out of a book? Why would I give you a video to watch? If I'm going to put somebody in front of you, it has to be top-notch. It has to be apprenticeship. The finest learning that will ever transpire on this earth is apprenticeship. You fly under the wing of a champion. What that means is that the training period is reduced in time because they're so good they know exactly what to do next. It's a pay-as-you-play type of program. You don't have, and the whole program, the entire program, this includes video conferencing and everything else. We get into everything. Studies of temperament and personality, the whole thing. To make it really interesting and fascinating, the entire program costs under $1,500, and it's pay as you play as you go, and you don't have to take it. We can't make you, but it's our obligation to provide it. Okay, so it's there. And I put experts in charge of it. And they fly all over the country, and they're invited in by the brokers and so on and so forth to come in and help in that regard. Centralized control from head office. We use a lot of centralized control. So you sit there and say, what do you got? Okay, you got 10, 7, and 5. We've got this perpetual paycheck. We've got this extra opportunity. When I see how the residuals work, we see why it's growing. I see now that you're teaching, training, and coaching. There's a specialized faction to do that. It's proactive. It's assertive by nature. It's not passive in any way, shape, or form. We're multiplying at a fabulous rate. The government's supporting us. And it's a very positive experience for so many people, and it's growing faster than any other company. We are growing 6 times faster than RE/MAX ever grew in their entire history. So let's not get too comparative with those numbers, okay?